Welcome to Real Estate in Real Time. I'm your host, Woody Zimmerman, here with Mark Skabowski of Remax Lakes, and good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing great. I'm doing great because we've got to melt off on the snow.
The snow is melting.
Yes, the snow is melting. I'm now wearing a vest for a coat. Okay, and it's like 35 to 45 degrees or whatever, somewhere in there. But spring is in the air. 35 feels good.
35 feels good. 45. I took my dog out for a run.
Yeah, did you?
I did. And the amazing thing in our community when you get out there, the trails. Warsaw is a fantastic community. Kosciuszko County has got a lot of walking trails.
Yes.
The Greenway, all of that stuff. So for potential, folks who are moving here, there's a lot of stuff you can do. May not be this high-end entertainment, but if you're into the outdoors, running, biking, that kind of stuff, and then we get into the summer with boating. The Greenway was full.
Yeah.
I mean, there were people all over out there enjoying the sunshine, getting out of the house, staying socially distanced.
Yeah.
But just to get outdoors and enjoy some sunlight, definitely helpful.
Oh.
Changed my attitude 100%.
Oh,
I guess,
yes.
right?
Oh, yes, for sure. I mean, I had windows down, music up, and absolutely, yeah. It does change your attitude.
Changes your attitude.
You feel good about things, and when this happens, people like to go out and buy things.
But they like to buy stuff.
They spend money.
They spend money, and the spring selling season is soon to be upon us.
Yes, and so that's coming up here real soon. So the real estate market takes off again.
It tends to.
Yeah.
Whether it's March through October, whether it's April through October, for us, March we start to see lake listings come on.
Mm-hmm.
And why is that? Because people aren't shoveling snow in their second homes that are sitting vacant.
Right.
They don't have to make sure the driveway is taken care of and all of that stuff. They start to come onto the market. So lake homes start to. So the lake market picks up March, April. The standard residential market for the last few years has been consistent. I mean, it's busy, busy, busy all the time, or it appears to be. But if you're a buyer, what does that mean? You need to be ready.
Mm-hmm.
I can't stress it enough, that being ready to buy, because if you're not, you're going to be disappointed when it comes out. If you're thinking, hey, I need to buy, let's go look at property, that's definitely not the order in which you need to do things.
Mm-hmm.
I preach it. What is your why?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you looking to move? We have sellers on one hand. Their concerns are, if I sell, where am I going to go?
Right.
Definitely understand that concern. If I sell my house, it's probably going to sell quickly. Where am I going to go? We'll talk about sellers next week.
Okay.
But right now, for buyers, if you're really ready to buy, explain that, within the family, make your decision. We're ready to buy, we're going to buy a house. Commit to it, we're going to buy a house.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, just go looking because we're thinking about it,
No.
It's just not a good idea at this time.
Because the market has just been hot and there's just not that much inventory out there.
There's not much inventory. In fact, there was a little home over on Market Street in Warsaw, came on the market at $147,000 on a Sunday, and they had accepted an offer on Monday with multiple offers.
Wow.
I mean, and it isn't a very big home.
Mm-hmm.
I sold probably 10 years ago the house straight across the street, very similar layout, everything else. I sold it for, I think, $69,000.
Wow.
So, I'm standing in this house that's now $150,000 plus
Yeah.
or minus. I have no idea what it ultimately sold for.
Okay.
But I'm looking across the street where I was like, man, these were $70,000 houses, 6, 8, 10 years ago.
Okay.
And now they're $150,000. I mean, that's real.
Yeah.
That's not some statistic. That's not, just crunching the numbers. That's real. And it struck me there. It's like, wow, the market has totally changed for folks here. First-time home buyers, if you're going to buy, you need to be ready.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I want to beat this to death is that I've got somebody who's in that price range, that 150, 160,000 price range, but they need the seller to pay their closing costs.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, they're pre-approved. They've got down payment money, but they've only got enough for down payment. They don't have enough for down payment and closing costs.
Okay.
So every offer that we write, we are in a $3,500 hole.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm saying there is if we need them to pay closing costs and somebody doesn't need them to pay closing costs, we're $3,500 in the hole before we even start.
Right.
So if the house is $100,000, we have to offer 103.5 for the seller to feel 100. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So if you had somebody that offered them 103.5 and don't need closing costs, the sellers,
which one
which one
pick?
are they going to take? It's $3,500 difference.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm so emphatic for buyers: be ready, save your money. And while we can get the sellers to pay closing costs, you're negotiating from a disadvantaged position when it comes to that. And that, when I explain that to folks and I show my hands, and for folks on the radio they can't see, would you rather buy up here?
Yeah.
Or would you rather buy here? Well, I'd rather buy at the lowest possible price. But the seller's the exact opposite of you. They want the highest possible price for their property.
And I mean, and right now in this market, it is a seller's market, and so they're going to get every penny that they can possibly get.
You're going to be at a disadvantage if you're negotiating from that position. And I'm not saying don't, but just be prepared. You'll probably have to pay more for the property to offset that $3,500 that you need in closing costs.
Right.
And that brings with it a whole host of problems. Part of the 2007-2008 crash we had was we were selling homes because at 6% above what the purchase or what the list price was to cover 6% of the buyer's closing costs. And then we had a hiccup in the economy, and good Lord, where did we go?
Oh man, that was a disaster.
I hate to see it come to that, but you can buy with no money down. You can buy and have the sellers pay your closing costs. But what you need to remember is you need to increase your purchase price to offset that.
Okay. All right. Very good. We're going to talk more about this coming up next after the break. You're listening to Real Estate in Real Time. Welcome back. You're listening to Real Estate in Real Time. I'm your host, Woody Zimmerman, here with Mark Skabowski of Remax Lakes, and we're just talking about, for buyers, the springtime is when the market tends to take off.
It does, and you need to be ready, and that being ready means have a pre-approval.
Yeah.
Before you go look at homes. If that house hits the market, and the example I used, earlier in the show about on the market Sunday, multiple offers accepted on Monday, you don't have time to wait for your lender to get you a pre-approval. You just don't.
No.
Again, this is Sunday afternoon. The house hits the market. Gone by Monday. If you're working with a mortgage broker, they may answer their phone and respond and get you a pre-approval on Sunday.
Sure.
But what are bankers' hours, right? Back in the day, bankers worked Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
Sure.
That's it. So if you're working with a bank, unlikely they're going to be able to get you a pre-approval on Sunday. Well, a little bit of thought, call them on Friday. If you're going to look at property on the weekend, get that pre-approval. Be ready. Be ready. When it comes time, if a house hits the market, be ready. Don't use I want to find something first before I get my pre-approval.
No.
You're wasting your time. Because if you find something, you love it, and you don't have that pre-approval, your agent can submit an offer for you, but the seller's going to discount it because you put no effort into, other than writing the offer, into buying their home. And the fact is you're in competition with a lot of other buyers, so be prepared.
Well, we've seen some of the smallest numbers for days on market.
Yeah.
And when we talk about days on market, you're talking from when the house goes on the market to the accepted offer to actually closing.
Yeah.
I mean, there a lot of things happen during that time. So we're talking most of these properties that are out there, they're getting an offer or multiple offers within just a day or two.
A day or two of when it hits the market.
Yeah.
So, again, emphatically, please, 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 if you're a buyer, get that pre-approval before you go out and start looking at property. Because if you find the one you love, you're going to need to move quickly. Be decisive. That's tip number 2. Number 1, get that pre-approval. Tip number 2, be decisive. Tip number 3, and maybe it ought to be number 1, find an agent and work with one agent. Don't call every agent under the sun.
Right.
Don't call every agent under the sun. I had a lady call me on a Saturday afternoon, hey, I want to see this house. We've been just finished looking at houses. And I'm like, then why are you calling me? You had an agent that could do exactly what I'm going to do. Now, if you're not happy with that agent, I get it. But, as an agent myself, where am I going to put my energy? Into the client that's working with me, or the client
Yeah.
that's just calling me out of the blue?
Well, did she call you because your name was on the sign?
No, she didn't.
Oh,
She called
okay.
me out of the blue.
Okay.
And you know, while I appreciate that, you know, and she seemed almost shocked when I said, "Well, you just looked at, you know, 4 houses with an agent. What are you calling me for?"
Right,
She
yeah.
goes, "I don't know." You know, again, it wasn't with any malice. I just don't think she understood that her agent could help her with any property.
We see a lot of people think that you're supposed to call the name that's on the
Right,
sign.
right.
But no, you should find an agent that you're comfortable with, because that agent's going to be working for you.
Absolutely.
While the agent that's on the sign, they're working for the seller.
They are contractually bound to that
Yeah.
seller. However, we do close both sides.
And
it's
you
called
can.
limited agency.
Yeah, sure.
We can, and in this community, you have one reputation. And if people know that you're, you know, doing dirty deeds,
Yeah.
it gets out there pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah, right.
So, and in general, the agents in our marketplace are very good. They
Mm-hmm.
really are. I mean, most will ask, "Have you got, you know, are you working with an agent?" But many buyers don't necessarily pass that on.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd be surprised. I've asked, "Hey, are you working with an agent?" "No, not really." We get in the house and through discussion, "Well, yesterday I looked at 5 houses with 5 different agents." Well, and all I do is say, "Look, just pick one, please.
Right.
Do yourself a favor. If you want to buy a house, pick an agent, because then you have somebody who's working on your behalf.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a phone call out of the blue. You know, the latest and greatest is the car insurance or car warranty, you know, calls that we're getting robocalls.
Oh boy.
Right? So from an agent's perspective, you just calling every agent under the sun is a
Yeah.
robocall.
Yeah.
Right? "Hey, I want to get in to see this house tomorrow." "Well, are you pre-approved?" "No." "Well, are you working with another agent?" "Yeah, kind of, but I'd really like you to show me this house." Why?
Yeah.
You know, what's the difference? Now, I'm not going to walk away from business if you've made a conscious decision to change from an agent, but, you know, you're not doing yourself any favors by agent hopping. Pick
Mm-hmm.
one, stick with them, and put them to work for you.
Also, going back to tip number 1, you know, to get pre-approved,
Yeah.
do it with a local lender.
Absolutely, and I appreciate you bringing that up. Not Lending Tree, where you get 7 offers
No.
from 7 banks in 7 minutes or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Pick somebody local so you can get your questions answered. You've got somebody face to face. You're not going to a call center.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a question or problem with your loan, you've got somebody local to talk to.
Because then you're going back to the same person.
The
they
same
get
person.
They get to know you and they understand you. But when you do one of those, like a Lending Tree or, you know, the
Right.
call centers, whatever, it's always somebody different.
Yeah,
And
and
they
not
don't know
that
your
they
story.
can't close the loans.
No, right,
They
right.
do.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is, if you having someone local to talk to, as in from an agent's perspective, more helpful. I have a relationship with that. If I need help,
Mm-hmm.
if I need to get slid up the pile, if we need to move things along, many times they can assist us with that because I have a relationship with them.
Right. All right, your contact information?
Sure, the website's lakes-realtors.com. Phone number's 574-834-1233. Check us out on YouTube, Real
Yes.
Estate in Real Time.
All right, sounds good. You've been listening to Real Estate in Real Time. Have yourself a wonderful weekend.